Hi, I'm Micki,
Hi, I'm Kat.
and we are Cat and Mouse Astrology. Welcome to the April full moon in Libra.
It was beautiful last night. It practically looks full.
It looks full now. It's a big old fat moon, but we still have actually 2 days, day
Yeah,
and a half. Yeah, it's
kind of
coming
tells you
up.
the impact when it looks full for so long. It's going to have a big impact, I think.
It feels like it. It feels like such a new beginning this time
Yeah,
because it's in Aries, and we already had the new moon in Aries, but we have two new moons in Aries.
yeah,
So the next moon is going to be a new moon in Aries again,
nice.
which is wild to me. So this full moon in between two new moons in Aries feels significant,
Like an extra fresh start.
or like kind of like a reevaluation of what it is we're doing and where we're going and how
Yeah.
it impacts us because of that Chiron conjunction
Ooh,
feels
yeah,
pretty cool.
yeah. I mean, for me, it feels hard because it's like hitting my stuff. But
Right. The Aries Libra axis, anybody with heavy Aries or heavy Libra planets is going to feel this extra
right.
for
And then
sure.
people in like around my age range will all have Chiron right about where Chiron is right now as
Oh,
their
it's a
natal
Chiron
Chiron.
return.
It's a Chiron return.
That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And also because Chiron hangs out so long in Aries, this is an annual event.
Yes.
So the sun comes around once a year and hits Chiron, not at the same degree, of course. Now Chiron's at 15 now. So the sun is in Cazimi, as you pointed out. Chiron is in Cazimi with the sun, meaning very narrowly conjunct the sun, but about to move, the sun is about to move away from Chiron
Right.
as of the 6th. Right, the second it's Cazimi.
Nice.
Yeah. So right now we're recording this on the 4th in the morning, and it is the 6th, I think, early in the morning, that we get our full moon, the
Yeah.
actual conjunct, uh, the actual opposition exact.
Yeah. Like Wednesday to Thursday, Wednesday night to Thursday morning,
Right,
depending on
exactly. Yeah, in some places of the world it'll be Wednesday night. I think here we're getting it Thursday. So it's coming
what
up.
midnight.
Coming
Yeah.
up. Let me share my screen.
Let's
Take
look
a look
at
at
it.
this puppy.
So pretty.
So pretty. 16 degrees of Libra. So this one's kind of, interesting because it's conjunct, sun is conjunct Chiron,
Hmm.
opposite the moon in Libra, shining a light on healing our relationships.
Hmm.
And
And
Mercury, sorry, go ahead.
I think that if you're an Aries rising like me, it probably has something to do with your relationship to yourself.
Right, right, exactly. It's always so interesting, the kind of the nesting dolls, the Russian nesting dolls, with the way Libra and um, Aries have kind of an interesting relationship to relationship.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah. Yeah. It's that
So for
paradox that all the axes are, but it's like particularly interesting on the Aries
exactly, so
Libra.
for me as a Libra rising, this is in my the sun, it's the moon, my emotions are what I'm feeling, but the sun, which is reflecting things back, are reflecting, I wonder what's going on in my relationships here. There's some
Right.
healing going on. Whereas, as you say, with the Aries focus, it's more of how am I healing perhaps my relationship to myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, everybody has an impact on this because is impacted because everybody has Aries and Libra somewhere in their chart.
Right.
So pretty interesting moon. I like the Mercury square Pluto sextile Saturn trine Mars thing.
Well, I missed all that.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. Let me scroll down so we can actually look at
Yeah,
it. I'll
sure.
come back up there again in a minute, but we've got a little smaller. Can I make you smaller?
You can see it fine. That's fine.
Okay, good, because
Yeah. This way I can see the numbers.
there we go. Okay, so we've got, here's our opposition. And then we've got this cool little trine. which
Oh,
is moving into a kite, by the way. As the sun moves forward, we're gonna have a kite here
oh,
pointing,
nice.
yeah, at this area of our chart. So
Ooh,
notice we've got this trine between the Mercury and the Saturn, and then we've got or sorry, a sextile
Martin.
between Mercury and Saturn. Yeah.
Sorry.
Then a forming trine between Saturn and Mars, Saturn at 3, Mars at 5,
Yeah.
and then the sextile between Mercury and Mars
Dang.
with the fulcrum on Mercury. So this is, to me, there's something interesting going on here with structuring our language so that we don't bite somebody's head off.
Uh-huh. Okay. Okay.
But it's, since it's a positive configuration with Mars, Mars is in the service of Venus in some way here, because this moon is a Libra moon ruled by Venus.
Yeah.
So
So
I
it's the structures of communication in terms of relationship and positive impacts on relationship, healing impacts on relationship because of Chiron. And with an aim towards the future because we're there at the North Node too. Mercury is conjunct the North Node.
exactly, exactly. These healing words are about taking us forward,
Yeah.
or some kind of healing communication. I mean, the Mercury is that messenger that can go both below. Notice we've got also a square to Pluto forming
Mm,
with Mercury, or actually leaving. It's been square to Pluto and it's moving away from it.
right.
But you know, Mercury is still within 4 degrees of Pluto, so we're still feeling the impact of the deep dive.
Right. And there's a square approaching to the black moon between
Right.
Mercury and the black moon. So yeah, more deep dive stuff, more subconscious things possibly coming to the surface, but in more easeful way with that
Exactly.
trine
Now,
between
that would
Saturn
be
and
my only concern, would be is the ease is with Mars as well as Saturn. Saturn may be telling you, stop it, shut up, don't say that. Shh, shh. And Mars is saying, say whatever you want, move and do it. And so there is a little bit of needed control here, using the control of Saturn to maybe watch what we say or how we communicate,
yeah.
because there could be we could be digging stuff from the deep in our communication, like bringing up stuff from the past. Why are you bringing that up again, for
Oh yeah.
example? And then we're not aware of why we're bringing it up, because black moon
Uh,
is not really allowing us to have the full awareness of what's going on, right? It's
right.
our blank spot. So that would be my only concern with this, is that we have be careful what you say, how you say it.
Yeah.
Be careful how you communicate and because we are moving forward with this communication. It is a new moon. I mean, it is a North Node Mercury conjunction moving into that conjunction. So this is going to get more powerful, like you say.
Yeah. So I guess the advice there, you could go to I think it's a Buddhism tactic or just saying that is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? And if it's none of those things, then don't say it.
That's perfect. That is
Especially for
absolutely perfect.
yourself.
Yes. Especially for yourself. Top,
Is it
that
true?
is
Is
the
it
top.
kind? Is it necessary?
Yeah, that's really good. That's really important. Especially with Libra there, because we're finding balance. This is the emotions finding balance,
Yeah.
reflected by the sun trying to, involved, shining a light on the healing, conjunct that healing. How do you interpret the Kazemi part of it?
I would think that there was a light shining on the wound. And probably whatever emotions come up are going to be those wounded sides of ourselves that say things to ourselves and about our relationships that aren't true or kind or necessary. Like Like your abandonment wounds might come up, your fears of rejection, your imposter syndrome, um, whatever kinds of past traumas will not ever go away because Chiron is the wound that doesn't go away, the wound that can't be healed.
Right. Yeah.
And Channy was talking about it yesterday about like, that's not like you can value that thing that hurts and won't go away because of what it's taught you and how it's helped you become who you are. So there's some sort of appreciation for not what you went through, but how you came through it.
Yeah, and that's really important to look at, especially when we recognize this is an annual event. So it
Right.
might even be good if you're somebody who's a journaling to go look back at, the last time, and that would have been roughly a year ago, that we had this conjunction, the same conjunction,
Yeah.
and see what was going on in your life at this time last year or the year before,
Oh,
um, because this could be a pattern. This could be a time of year when you start going, haranguing yourself or haranguing others, or you are being harangued by someone. Use the
yeah.
word harangue. I'm not sure why, but I guess harangue is coming from the Mars Saturn. What does
Probably.
harangue mean?
It's related to berate. There's a
Yeah,
repetitiveness to it, so I think that's where you're getting harangue from. That
yeah, because
repetition of the Chiron Kazemi. Every year I'm gonna like have to deal with this deep shame that didn't even start with me.
right,
And that's
be
part of the Black
ancestral,
Moon thing, and that wound that you can't heal because it's too fucking deep because it doesn't just belong to you.
right. Oh,
You
that
brought
seems
it into this
very
world.
real. Oh yeah, I can feel that in my life right now. The Pluto black moon pointing directly at the Mercury in the square.
Right.
There's a there's a way in which we may be aware of the Pluto part of this, the deep roots part of it, but
Right.
again, the black moon is the void that we can't see into. We don't know
Yeah.
where it's going to be, but that's why it does feel very ancestral.
Yeah.
I had an interesting experience recently that relates to this. I guess I'll give it, even though it's kind of weird and personal.
Okay.
Um, so uh my sister went to visit a family graveyard that's literally 7, 8 generations old.
Oh wow.
Oh, wow. These were our one, of course, we all have lots of we're direct descendants from several people, right? Not just one. So this
Right.
is my only family, but one of my direct descendants, or one of the people I'm directly descended from, was a slave owner in Texas.
Mm,
That's some ugly history. That's
right.
some really plutonic, icky stuff. And
Hmm.
of course, with Black Moon involved in that, I'm unaware. I mean, I can't even imagine how these people lived their lives and had a conscience,
Right.
whether or not they treated the slaves well or not. I mean, who cares? They lived in this lifestyle. And what's interesting to me about the communication and the North Node involved in this is I recently wrote an article about it
Yeah.
and published it.
Uh-huh.
And so that communication is impacting where I head in the future.
Ah,
But
yeah.
it's also impacting, I mean, I'm hoping for me, I'm hoping that this is actually a healing of a longer ancestral situation that involves more than just me personally. This is a
Right.
relationship issue with people that I've never met that are of a different skin color than I am and
Hmm.
from a different background that goes back 7, 8 generations.
Hmm.
And yet, why wouldn't they hate me? Right. And that was the impetus for the article I wrote, was that I read um, another article by a Black woman who was connected by the slave owners from her ancestors.
Hmm.
And her response was, I don't want anything to do with those people.
Mm-hmm.
Why would I want anything to do with the people that enslaved my ancestors?
Right.
But the healing part of it is a recognition they're your ancestors too, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And all these people, I'm sorry, this is trouble, but everybody who sees Obama as Barack Obama, for example, as a black person is completely ignoring that he's half white.
Well, also that his black side of the family was African, which makes a difference if you talk to more recent immigrants. Like there's a cultural difference, but
Right.
it's neither here nor there. The
Point being
point
is that's
is
how it
that
seems to
there's
be impacting.
messages coming from the ancestral realm about the deep wounds that we're carrying, and we have the opportunity, and I would say also the responsibility to try to address those wounds. And there's there's that you have to dress a wound. Whether it's going to heal or not, you still have to dress it, right?
Yeah, and you gave me an interesting visual in talking about the Chiron Kazemi. It made me think of a laser. You know how the laser light comes in, and we use lasers to do LASIK surgery, to do wound healing, deep inside our bodies where they can't reach with scalpels and stuff. Lasers really have a pinpointing ability to actually get right at the nut of something.
I feel like we had the same conversation last year when this happened. Yeah.
And maybe we did. It's so weird. It's so
I don't know that
interesting.
you meant a laser, you used the laser metaphor, but yeah, they're meant to like, it's going to show up. It's going to show up what your wound is. Ideally, it can show up some sort of healing path that you can take. But at the same time, just the showing up, just the noticing, and then attending to it. Just give it some attention. That's really
Yeah.
all. That's really all it needs.
Now, how do you feel about this as a first house event?
It feels really personal. Like in a way, I don't want to get specific about it.
Sure.
I
already went too far there. Sorry, guys.
Well, I mean, it's just the same thing keeps coming up because it's the deepest shit, you know? Right. And it's like all about my own path through this life and being my own person. I guess I can say it in that way. It's that like it's the control of generations of an authoritarian colonizing culture bearing down on children after children after children of gripping their personhood and the individuality and forcing people into the boxes that you want them to be in, which is like much of what Western culture does and much of what we're fighting against, right? So for first house, I think it's showing up in a way of like, can you be brave enough to be yourself?
Right.
Regardless of who the other people you're in relationship want you to be. Can I be authentic to who I am, even if it potentially risks some of my relationships?
That's really a good language for it. Authentic to yourself, true to yourself. I really like that. Now, if it were second house, I would think this would be something having to do maybe with self-worth.
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
Healing a self-worth, the wound being in how you value yourself or how maybe others value you.
Right.
And if it's in the third house, if Aries is your third house, then that light being shine is perhaps on healing interactions with your siblings. Maybe you've had bad relationships with people you're close to in your neighborhood or around your town, or literally a brother or sister.
Coworkers, maybe.
I would put that more in the sixth house, but
Okay.
it could be. I mean, it's that day-to-day stuff.
Yeah.
Day-to-day, it's the Gemini house, so it's definitely going to be related to this because of the Mercury. involved in the whole thing. If it's fourth house, that's healing home and family. The light's shining right in on your hearth,
Right.
right in your household, and looking at where do you need to heal something in, and that would be perhaps again that could be deep ancestral,
Could
or it
be.
could just be your home. What's going on in your house. Could be fixing something in your home.
Mhm.
But I would say it's
Has
more
to do with the
emotional.
structure. Yeah.
Yeah. Fifth house. Fifth house would have more to do with healing your relationships with children,
Mhm.
or with um, the creative
Creative.
part of yourself.
This might be where the imposter syndrome comes up.
Yes, absolutely.
If
This
Aries
may
is the
be,
fifth house.
yeah. If Aries is in your fifth house, you might be having to heal that sense that, wait, I'm really faking it. This is
Right.
just baloney.
Maybe
And
even as a parent.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Your like insecurities over your parenting skills might be popping up.
Now, if Aries is your sixth house, then that could have to do with job, work, healing relationships with bosses or coworkers or subordinates,
Mm.
or maybe just healing, having a a work schedule that feels like it's just too much and pounding you into the ground,
Yeah.
and having that highlighted so that you can find a different way to deal with the
Mm.
stresses of your work. Of course, that's your house of health
It
too.
could be some body thing.
This could be literally pointing to a health condition. If
Mm.
somebody has this in their sixth house and they have some, weird pain or something, I'd go to a doctor and have it checked out
Mm.
because of this, focus right now. Plus, anybody who's got Aries in their sixth house, this has been going on for a long time in that house, right? Wherever this is, it's been going on for a while. This has been
Yeah, it's
hitting for
true. It's
years.
true. Like we've been working on authenticity
Right. Exactly.
for
And we
some
talked
years now.
exactly. We talked about Libra a little bit because that's me, and that could be healing relationships with others. Again, it could be deep ancestral healing that you're working with.
Right.
What if it's your seventh house,
Oh,
Scorpio?
well, that's other people's money.
Right.
Other
Other
people.
people's money. Healing relationships with maybe banks. Maybe you have a debt you need to address.
Oh, maybe you have a dependency you need to address.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Um, Taxes, it's tax time.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
your taxes are like, gotta get those taxes done. Better start making payments or figure out what's happening here. Talk to an accountant. We can't really see the other one here, but our next one is
Sagittarius.
Sagittarius. So we have Sagittarius in the ninth house. Or sorry, if we have
Uh,
Aries in the ninth house,
Aries is in the ninth house. Yeah.
you have Aries in the ninth house. This is impacting, perhaps higher learning,
Hmm.
um,
Adventure.
travel.
Yeah.
Yeah. How could this impact somebody personally with the healing there?
I don't know.
Maybe a trip creates a healing.
Yeah.
Maybe
I mean,
taking a trip
usually.
provides, a necessary, you needed that break away to provide that inner refreshment,
Right.
give you a chance to reload um, to figure out where you're going for the future, the Aries directions of where you're
Maybe.
headed.
Maybe you'll get some sort of insight into where your knowledge is lacking.
Ooh, that's good. Yeah.
Maybe if your Aries is in your ninth house, you think you know what you're talking about, and maybe you're not right.
Or you realize where, yeah, you need more learning
Yeah.
to heal this, to get to where you want to go.
Yeah.
Now, if it's 10th house, this may be healing how you're viewed by people in the bigger world, your career, whatever you do in the outer world.
Yeah.
I always
This
like
could
to
be
think of outer, sorry.
another imposter syndrome sign.
Exactly. And this could be, again, because Aries is um focused on doing something new and being bold about it. And in your 10th house, maybe you've been too brash and you have to take a look at where you need to um, heal your interactions with how you're broadcasting.
Right. Right. People just don't respond to me well. I don't know why. Maybe there's reasons.
Right. Why haven't I gotten that promotion that I wanted?
Yeah.
Maybe there's something you need to heal in this Aries area of
Yeah.
your life before you can really get that promotion.
Yeah.
Now, if it's an 11th house, this could be healing of relationships with friends, groups of people. Maybe you dropped out of that group and now you're like, hey, I'd like to come back.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there are wounds that happen in friend groups. That's for sure.
And we've
You've
seen a
got
lot
those
of that the
toxic
last few
people.
years.
For sure. Yeah. So maybe this
Shifts.
is a good time if you had a really bad breakup. Maybe it's a good time to reach out if you are one of those Aries 10th house, Aries 11th house people.
Yeah, that's 11th house. 11th
Yeah.
house. Yeah. And finally, if Aries is your 12th house, well, this is a really deep wound that
Mm,
you're taking a look at that may be hard to see, right? It could be something that's subconscious.
yeah.
It could be something, especially with the black moon and Pluto's involvement in this. If
Right.
it's 12th house or 6th house, I might even want to talk to a counselor or an advisor of um, in my area of spirituality to, maybe get some assistance there with this if it was in my
Yeah.
12th house.
Or maybe really pay attention to your dreams with Neptune hanging out there.
Keep it a journal.
Keeping a journal,
Yeah,
tracking your daydreams, track that shadow.
exactly. And I'll put information about Aries through the houses with the Chiron Kazemi in it down below this YouTube video. I'm gonna scoot up to the top a little bit and talk about our interpretation. Um, Kind of basic. Can you make a change to facilitate healing in your relationships?
Hmm.
Whichever area of your life that this is happening in, it's a relationship healing because it's a Libra full moon.
It's so basic, but so central.
So central to everything in our lives. Yep, exactly. And I put a little interpretation, a once a year check-in on your sense of self.
Yeah.
Where are you vulnerable? What needs a healing balm? And again, there's a feeling for a new beginning. We need a feeling that we need a new beginning here. That's
Yeah.
the Aries part of it. And it's aided by this healing energy, but there's a tug of war pressuring us to make a change.
Yeah. God, it's so hard to be vulnerable.
Really is. Yeah, we're opened up here once a year in this kind of aching way.
Aching.
A little bit.
That's a good word for it.
A little bit. I've got one more chart for us, don't I? Yeah, this one.
Okay.
So yeah, we've got Venus coming into a trine with Pluto. Yay! I don't know. Is that yay?
Probably. Venus does good things.
It's also sextile with Neptune. So that to me says that, digging in this deep stuff might be real uncomfortable, but it could be fruitful in the future. It's being blessed by Venus. It is a Venus ruled moon.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it gives a hope.
Yeah. Agreed. And a dreaminess.
Right.
Yeah.
And with the Mars trine Saturn, I like Rick Levine's, he describes it, Saturn and Mars together are like driving a race car. And it's hard to drive a race car because, the gas is real touchy and so are the brakes,
Yeah.
right? And if you're zooming along real fast with the gas on it, you have to slam on the brakes, you're going to wipe out. You have
Yeah.
to really be careful with how you apply the gas and the brakes to traverse this space.
Yeah.
You don't want to slam on the brakes and you don't want to be too heavy on the gas. It's kind of a balancing act.
Right.
So do you
Libra.
have the passion with Mars and the structure with Saturn for the plans you're trying to make?
Structure. Yeah, no, it's helpful. Structure is helpful.
It is. I think it's pretty hopeful. I think this is pretty hopeful overall. So I don't know. I like moving into the future, and finally we feel like we are. We're out of 2020.
Finally.
Took us 3 years.
Finally. Okay, we got to do the symbols real quick.
Oh, please.
So good. Okay. Chiron and the sun, 16 degrees Aries, nature spirits at work at sunset.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, read it again.
Nature spirits at work at sunset. Seems ever more beneficial.
Chiron, do your stuff.
There's something out there that's also working while you do the work of figuring out your wounds and listening for the way forward.
Beautiful. I love that. What else do we have?
The moon, 16 Libra. After a storm, a boat landing stands in need of reconstruction. Which is like there could be some tumultuousness with the moon, but it'll be okay. You're just going to have to rebuild. It's fine.
Yeah, that reflects a little bit again of the Chiron, the wounding.
Yeah.
The emotions of the moon. We may have to deal with some emotional wound.
Yeah.
Related to this.
Most likely. Most likely. Stay grounded, people. Okay. Jupiter, 20 degrees Aries, so almost conjunct Chiron and the sun. A young girl feeding birds in winter. So there's like a benevolent nourishingness sitting right next to it all. Yeah.
And Jupiter is for all practical purposes conjunct Chiron and the sun.
Right.
It's within 4 degrees, and both the sun and Chiron are moving towards Jupiter. Of course, Chiron will never catch up with Jupiter, but the sun will. We will have a sun-Jupiter conjunction shortly. That's, I think, perhaps when the sun conjuncts Jupiter is when we will feel the healing has kicked in.
That makes sense. Jupiter
is benevolent.
Like with its hand open, ready to offer you something useful.
Right. Yeah, you just have to open your beak.
That's right. let the messages pour through. Mercury for Taurus, the rainbow pot of gold.
Yeah. The rainbow pot of gold, finally. I've been looking for that for so long.
No, here it is. It's in Mercury.
So again, and there's the balance, because we have the trine with the Saturn and the trine with the Mars, and it's giving us a beautiful opportunity if we can ride the brakes and the gas just right.
That's right. Mars at 5 degrees Cancer is an automobile wrecked by a train.
Be really careful, ride the brakes too, not just the gas. You got to apply the brakes.
You gotta apply the brakes, but not too hard. Don't apply
not too hard, you'll spin out.
You'll lose all your momentum and you just spin out. Yeah, that's not what you're going for.
Yeah, this requires a delicate working of the foot pedals.
It requires nature spirits at sunset.
Nature spirits at sunset.
And a pot of gold.
And a pot of gold. And just remember, if you could keep that equilibrium, keep that balance, there's something beautiful awaiting.
They'll stay on that rainbow bridge. Make it to the pot of gold.
I love that.
Okay. Oh, one more. North Node. Oh, 3 degrees Taurus. Steps up to a lawn blooming with clover.
Beautiful. Read again.
Steps up to a lawn blooming with clover.
Ah.
The North Node is like an ascending staircase to the abundance of spring.
So true. Absolutely. And we are stepping up to something that is beautiful, smells great, sensual.
So sensual. The bees love the clover. Clover is like its own pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. as the
There's
luck symbol.
there's the Venus showing through that rules this whole chart.
Yeah. I didn't even look up Venus.
That's awesome. Well, we're gonna run out of time, so I think we should say
Okay.
goodbye and we'll pick it up next time.
Happy beautiful full moon, everybody.
Happy, beautiful full moon. Smell the clover.
Smell the clover. It's okay that you're wounded. We all are.
We're all wounded.
Nobody's broken.
The healing is coming.
That's right.
That's right.
Always available with its
Right.
hand stretched out. Right there. There you go. Jupiter has it.
Jupiter, drive careful.
Yeah.
See you at the next moon, at the eclipse. Bye, all.